15 minutes are promised. Thanks for staying. Thanks for coming. Today we're here to talk about building with your customers. That's a clicker. They're typically building products and services for their customers. We realized that building products and services with our customers was a much more effective. Let's take a look at the digital advertising market. As you well know, it's a massive market. It's almost $500 billion in spend. And that represented a 14%. So if you're working at Meta like I am, is that good news? Market. However, growth is decreasing. Revenue is decelerating. New competitors. There's new data privacy laws. And many markets are being. It's never been more important to really understand the needs of. We take that extremely seriously at Meta when we're thinking about where can we squeeze growth from. What if we work together with our customers and solve for some of the most common challenges? So how do we best position our new solution for advertisers, marketers, and brands out? Creative territory or concept should we move forward with? What are my customers' various digital platforms that we support, as well as our competitors? What are taglines that we're testing for a major global marketing campaign? How do we do that? Creative strategy for an upcoming global marketing campaign. You've seen these questions before. Ultimately, it's not about doing the research. It's how are we better able to equip our stakeholders just in basement. And so, obviously, when we're researching these audience pitfalls and challenges, it's hard to reach the right people at the right time. There are times super frustrating. Costs are usually exorbitant, cost prohibitive, the quality. Okay, so why not build a dedicated community of niche experts? This was go. All the stuff on the right-hand side, that was our objective and goal. We set easier access to finding the right people, faster time to insights, measuring the ROI, just getting trustworthy, confident insights back that we can move forward with. Wireless access to build out a solution that's been 2 years in the making.
Thank you. Now, how are we building better decision intelligence with the partnership of Meta? There's a process that's involved. First off, create a dedicated portal, a UI UX interface where individuals can actually register, pre-screen, pre-validate, understand who these individual industries they're affiliated with, and the associations they're a part of. Onto individual dashboards for each of these B2B segments. Given the fact that the broad world is very big, the audiences that we were looking at were much smaller. In terms of how we build the brand, we had to go media websites, B2B depositories, directories, and also independent dashboards that we created within Borderless Access, reaching out to the right audiences. On top of that, what we did was we had to do lead generation of these individuals, not only from recruitment, but utilizing social media, though, profiling these individuals to ensure that they fell within these respective. On top of that, we created a registration platform for these individuals. Being pre-validated, we then brought them onto the page where we would quality check. It was growing, of course, there is attrition at some point in time. So what we did was for replenishment to ensure that we had these individuals that could cover the community itself. On top of that, audience engagement is critical. What is it that you're going to do to incentivize these individuals, to entice them to want to be a part of the community, right? it empowers them to create this type of a platform. You can run polls, you can run studies, you can do profiling parameter questions, more clarity on where these folks are coming from and what they're representing. Optimized targeting approach. Given the fact that there are many segments within Meta to their own line of business, we had to ensure that we were recruiting those individual respective buckets. With that, we also had to manage a number of sub-segments to ensure the studies were being fulfilled across all of those verticals. Incentivization is very important. Obviously, these types of individuals are not cheap to adhere, and you have to adjust your incentives based on who these individuals are, how, and what is the representation of these individuals based on the studies that we're actually. Basically, how are we going to do this? By building this team that ties in the people with the processes, right? So there has to be technology. There has to be social media channels to be able to do this. Then utilizing the research operations and the insight manager. Oops, back, sorry. We created where not only they could, from the stakeholders, go to the BMRI team. The BMR team would then come to Borderless Access with that research question. And the fact that we already pre-profiled these individuals, we already know who to go after for these particular studies. Whether it's a qualitative study, whether it's a whether we're just going to run an incidence check just to give them an idea in terms of how big this audience can be effective studies. And finally, providing the key insights to their stakeholders. So it's a very fine, fluid funnel that goes by in terms of growing this, right? Which creates the process for Metas to be the most efficient possible.
Awesome, thank you. Does that seem like a lot of work? Trust me, it was. That's today. But can we be successful with just what we've covered today so far? Corporate side, client side research can relate to this, right? You have to have internal enablement, a key ingredient to success. So what we realized as we started to build this out was it's great, we have this, but we needed a lot more in place to be successful. And so some of the things, well, we had a ton of research needs within the organization, tons of stakeholders reaching out to us, briefing sessions to ensure that they understood what this capability was, what it should be used for, and we're really talking about the use cases and bringing it to life. We also started to standardize a lot of it manually. So for example, we created a research brief. So this would be an intake for holders if they had a key question that they might want to research. They could go in, fill in that every single opportunity to ensure that it was appropriate for this capability. And then of course, we also need to standardize some things. So tracking, project management tools and templates, we need to bring some madness there to maintain it on a day-to-day basis. And then one important thing was that our stakeholders really spoke the same language. So even something as basic as we wanted to make sure people had a template to work off of so that we could have a consistent plug and play with additional stimuli that needed to be tested moving forward. Important piece called external enablement with our partners from Borderless Access. And so we deliverables. So much time is spent manually going through the analysis report, standardized reporting templates, different ways to visualize and structure data and share that with them. And so every report we get from Borderless Access has a very similar look and structure to it. And of course, we always are looking to learn and improve, standardize briefing and debrief sessions with our great partners just a real strong foundation. And we launched this 2 years ago. Every week we learned something new. And then one huge area of investment for us was actually putting into place IOC on our end. So this person's sole purpose at Meta is to interface with access and really manage the operations and the various projects that we're working on daily. So far to date, we've done all sorts of research, both qualitative, really generative, discovery, exploratory type of research through like one-on-one in-depth. But we've also done tons of quantitative survey and research as well. And there, of course, we're looking at perceptions, needs, preferences, experience, what have you, right? In which, it took a couple of years and a significant resource and planning, but the cost by a third, and we're able to deliver insights in about a quarter of the time when we proprietary community. And most importantly, we get really strong engagement with community. And so it's not really about doing the research itself. What our North Star is delivery mechanism. So doing the research, but how do we actually make to enable better decisions? And so honestly, I had to go back and research projects that we had done. We had done about 40. These are actual screenshots when we're individual spanning qualitative, quantitative, etc. And that was over a period of about a year and a half. So we've and just to double click into one specific example here, you've probably this is a new high priority investment area for the company. Short form videos obviously are really cool. We were partnering with the Reels brand marketing team, and really since it's so new, they needed help with the market. So they came to us, and we thought this was a great opportunity to utilize our panel evaluation and feedback. So we did a series of one-on-one in-depth interviews, and we unlocked a couple insights. We covered the fact that Reels actually does have a unique value proposition in these short-form videos, something that was unique and ownable. It was anchored around the idea of people, and it's also why people come to Instagram, which was the second insight. So Reels really had a natural place to live as people discover things related to their passions, as well as on one of our most loved platforms, Instagram. And so since then, the results have been used to brand positioning, as well as various marketing strategy and marketing campaign activity to fruition across a number of our surfaces and platforms. For example, the top left-hand side, when you go to metaforbusiness.com, you want to understand what Reels is all about. So as we look towards the future, there's a huge opportunity, tool or capabilities, not enabling stakeholders, but we really believe there's an opportunity to build ecosystems at Meta. So what we're looking to build going forward is a decision intelligence access to our stakeholders. Give them all usernames and passwords, and let that portal could feature things around concurrent global research going on, allow them to what's being currently researched, as well as historical research. It's got things like a news feed that are related to the topics that we've researched. We also have like flash insights, bite size to the topics that we've been researching and the audiences that we care about. And then one of our most features is a centralized repository across those 40 projects and based by keywords for our stakeholders to engage with on a day-to-day basis without our help. A few logistical things like standardizing kind of the intake request form into, as well as various operational features, including calendar, project timeline management. Research is happening in case they should want to join that research, and then available costs, as well as time spent by certain individuals supporting the. And of course, we are in this research making sure we capture feedback, improvement, and opportunities. And so, in summary, we have purely functional need, right? right? Like B2B research was expensive. So we built this panel. What we ended up with was community, and this community was fired up about sharing feedback. And they actually got smarter about the industry and their category as well. So they were getting some really felt like they were part of the decision-making process. And ultimately, they became really invested. So we would go back to some of the same respondents to do research again, right? And they really felt answering our questions, but they were actually creating new ideas for us as well. So at the end of the day, we had to ask ourselves, is what we're learning here, can this be extrapolated to the universe of marketers or other types of business decision makers? I think the answer is yes. So for the future with your customers, the answer is you can unlock quite a bit. I believe that you can also do this. Thank you.
Thank you.